And of course, the second book we've produced this year is the one we're going to talk about today, Unitarians Together in Diversity. I like the word together rather than united. I think together is more subtle. It's a book that has come along at a rapid speed, from a bright idea to being a book in a year, I suppose, which is amazing speed, actually. Yeah, that's probably a record for Lindsey Press, actually. It's got a great cover. You've probably seen the cover, have you? This is an American artist who works in glass mosaic. So now what's actually inside the book, I will leave for Sue to tell you about, actually.
Well, thank you for coming along. As we all know, Unitarianism is an evolving faith. This book, which I'm delighted to launch this afternoon, is a snapshot summary of the findings of a survey of contemporary Unitarians in Great Britain, which I undertook last year. The purpose of the survey, which took place between March and the end of June, was to discover the range and depth of present-day Unitarian and free Christian beliefs, values and spiritual practices, in order to better understand what is it that holds us together as a religious and spiritual community, in spite of the wide diversity of our beliefs and practices. I was fortunate in being granted a sabbatical for the summer months, during which the 257 responses were analysed and the first drafts written. I'm grateful to my mentor for this project, the Reverend Alex Bradley, for his support and insights. The autumn was spent refining these until the book being launched today was completed, and my thanks to the Lindsey Press panel and particularly David Dawson. We got there in the end. Now, some of you may not have done the survey, although I can see quite a few people who did. Thank you, everyone. And there were 41 questions, which was a quite large number. And they were divided into 8 sections. First of all, some information about the people answering the survey to give a context for the responses. Then some views about some basic tenets of Unitarianism, such as freedom, reason, tolerance. Some views on Unitarian ethos and values, beliefs about the divine, or not beliefs about the divine, views on Unitarians' relationship with Christianity, out of which the denomination grew, views on Unitarians' relationships with other faith traditions, beliefs about certain theological and spiritual concepts. For example, is there life after death? What is the nature of evil? Is there personal salvation? And then finally a section on Unitarian spirituality and practices. In general, the questions were multiple choice, but because these were very personal questions about important things, the options offered were as open as possible. And of course, an other section was provided for each question, for those who did not see their own beliefs or positions represented, or who wanted to make further comments. And boy, oh boy, did you want to make further comments? As each survey response came in, I transferred the data and comments to 43 separate Word documents to make the analysis process simpler. Now, I apologise for this very busy slide, which breaks all the rules of PowerPoint, but I couldn't find a way of doing a screen grab of the contents page of the book from the PDF, so this is the contents. By the end of June, as I said, I'd received 257 responses, which was a 68% return on the numbers sent out, which was awesome. I'd originally planned to write 1 chapter per section, but as I started to do the writing up, it became clear that this wasn't going to work. Some of the chapters would have been far too long. So the final version has 13 chapters. Chapters 1 to 12 covered the survey questions in roughly the same order as they appeared in the questionnaire. And the final chapter draws some conclusions about the survey findings. And there's a summary of findings at the end of each chapter, followed by a series of questions for further thought, either individually or in a study group. So why not buy half a dozen? Buy 10! At the end of the book, there's a list of recommendations for further reading, which covers most aspects of contemporary Unitarianism. As I said earlier, most of the questions offered a variety of options, as well as an other box. Respondents were invited to tick as many boxes as matched their beliefs. The quantitative data is shown throughout the book in form of charts. This one analyses how many of 7 common Unitarian rituals that respondents had experienced. It's just to give you a taster. But also, I had to use qualitative analysis to get a fuller picture of respondents' beliefs and practices. This was partly because when respondents chose 2 or more of the given options, it wasn't possible to know whether each option had equal weight, or whether some were of greater significance, and partly to ensure that those other views were represented in the findings. So they were encouraged to write more freely about their responses, which allowed for some nuanced viewpoints, very nuanced viewpoints, and gave a more rounded picture. And you can see a couple of responses to the question on Unitarian ritual here. The qualitative analysis was done by going through every question and every comment, word by word, line by line, looking for common threads of belief or viewpoint. And this was a fascinating process. The quotes selected from the comments were ones deemed to be representative of each particular thread. The breadth and depth of the responses was wonderful to read. I'm very, very grateful to all the respondents who engaged with the survey questions so thoroughly. They showed what a diverse and vibrant community British Unitarianism in the 21st century is. It is my hope that this book will start a rich conversation around the movement.